Mẹ xin lỗi vì những chuyện đã làm với con.
Welcome back, everyone. Can you believe this? He went from a high-flying CEO with a luxury villa and cars to waking up after a bout of amnesia, finding he has nothing left but a single motorbike. Even more shocking, the person who sold him out and stripped him of his entire fortune was none other than his own biological mother. Today at the police station, Toan had a tearful confrontation with his mom. "Mum, I don't care that you sold the house, but you sold our bond as mother and son. Where am I supposed to find that again?" That heartbreaking line and the ironic truth about his old Airblade scooter will make you rethink life and human nature. Watch now to see how this fallen CEO's story ends. Remember to hit like and subscribe right now. The next morning at the district police station, the golden sunlight spilled across the brick courtyard, but it couldn't chase away the chill in Toan's heart. After finishing the legal paperwork, Officer Thu led Toan and Diem down to the evidence storage room. Toan walked slowly. His mind was a chaotic mess of memories about the massive fortune he used to own. The lakeside villa, the shiny black luxury car he used to be so proud of. He remembered that before the amnesia, he was a successful businessman who never had to think twice about spending money. Officer Thu stopped in a corner of the warehouse, pointing to a dust-covered object. "Mr. Toan, according to Mrs. Mai and those two suspects, this is the only asset you have left that we found." Toan squinted. It wasn't a luxury car. It was an old scooter and Airblade with a scratched-up front shield and a cracked rear-view mirror. Diem stood beside him, surprised. "Huh, isn't this the bike you parked at the village chief's house the day you came to visit me? Why is it here?" Officer Thu nodded, his voice low with sympathy. "That's right. When we retraced your route before the attack, we found out you parked this bike at a local's house to hike up the mountain to see Ms. Diem. Then you were ambushed by those two. As for your car and your house in the city, I'm very sorry to give you some bad news." Toan stood frozen, his heart pounding. He had a bad feeling. "Say it. Where are my house and car?" Thu sighed, handing Toan a stack of photocopied documents. "Your mother, Mrs. Mai, sold everything while you were missing acting as your sole guardian. Since she spread rumors that you were dead or had fled, she rushed the paperwork to transfer the villa and sell the car to pay off the loan sharks. Now, you have nothing left. You only have this old Airblade. This is the bike you bought when you first started your business, remember?" Toan held the sale papers, his hands trembling. His mother's signature, scrawled and hasty, felt like knives stabbing his heart. It turned out that while he lay unconscious, while Diem scraped together every bowl of porridge to keep him alive, his mother was busy selling off his assets at fire sale prices to save her own skin. Toan laughed, a bitter, harsh laugh. "Ha ha 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 ha! Sold it all, huh? Even the ancestral altar, even the car I saved up to buy. She sold every last thing." Diem hugged Toan's arm, tears welling up. "Toan, calm down, please. Material things can be replaced. Losing the house and car is okay as long as you're alive, as long as you're here with me. We'll start over from scratch, okay? This bike is old, but it still runs fine." Toan looked at the old bike. He ran his hand over the scratch on the shield. Memories came flooding back. That's right, that day he decided not to take the car. He wanted to ride this sentimental bike up to the farm, to feel the fresh air, to be closer to Diem. He never imagined that fateful trip would rob him of everything, and this beat-up bike would be the only witness loyal enough to wait for him. Toan turned to Thu, his eyes no longer burning with rage like the night before, but filled with a terrifying calmness. I want to see her, right now. Thu nodded. All right, Mrs. Mai is being held in room 2. She wants to see you too. Toan took Diem's hand. Come with me. I need you by my side right now. Diem nodded firmly. The detention room door opened. Inside the cold, white-walled room, Mrs. Mai sat huddled on a chair. Overnight, her hair seemed to have turned much grayer. Seeing her looking old and haggard, there was no trace left of the stylish, playful mother from before. Seeing Toan enter, Mrs. Mai shrank back, burying her face toward the table, her shoulders shaking violently. She didn't dare look her son in the eye. Toan pulled out a chair and sat opposite her. Diem stood silently behind him, placing a hand on her husband's shoulder to give him strength. The silence was so heavy, you could hear the ceiling fan whirring overhead. After a long while, Toan finally spoke. His voice was hoarse, filled with pain. Mom, why, just 2 words, but they weighed a ton. Mrs. Mai burst into sobs. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, son. Toan tapped the table lightly, his voice calm but sharp as a razor. I don't need an apology. I need a reason. Why did you sell the house? Why did you sell the car? That was my blood, sweat, and tears from years of building my business. When you sold it, did you ever stop to think if I came back where I would live? Or did you truly hope I was dead so you wouldn't have to face your conscience? Mrs. Mai looked up, tears streaming down her face. No, I didn't want you dead, but I was so scared. They threatened to cripple me. I owed them too much. I thought you were rich. You were talented. Losing this house meant you could just buy another one. I was just borrowing it from you. Toan, borrowing you call forging my signature and selling off my assets at a fire sale price while I was missing borrowing. He pulled the keys to the old air blade from his pocket and slammed them onto the table in front of Mrs. Mai. Look at this. This is all I have left after 20 years of striving. A beat-up old motorbike. You turned me from a businessman into a homeless man in a single night. You sold the house, I don't care. Money can be earned back. But do you know what the most precious thing you sold was, days? Mrs. Mai stared blankly at the keys, then at her son. Toan choked up, his eyes red. You sold my trust. You sold the last bit of motherly love I had for you. 20 years ago, you left me for another man, and I forgave you. Now you come back and strip me of my last shelter. Mom, do you truly see me as your son? Or am I just an ATM for you to withdraw debt payments from? Toan's question left Mrs. Mai stunned. She buried her head in her arms on the table, crying like a child. Her belated regret couldn't salvage what was lost. Diem stood behind, tears rolling down her cheeks. She felt infinite pity for Toan. This man looked strong on the outside, but inside his heart had shattered into pieces. Toan stood up. He took a deep breath as if trying to expel the heavy burden from his chest. He looked at the woman crying pitifully. There was no hatred left in his heart, only pity. Fine. Since it's come to this, I don't want to pursue it anymore. That house, that car, consider it the final debt I pay for you giving birth to me. From now on, we go our separate ways. Live the rest of your life well in the correctional facility. I won't sue you for fraud. That is the last mercy I grant you. With that, Toan turned and walked away, never looking back once. Mrs. Mai screamed from behind, Toan, don't leave me, Toan! But the door to the visitation room closed coldly. Toan and Diem stepped out of the police station. The sky outside was high and brilliantly blue. The mountain wind blew cool and refreshing. In the courtyard, the old air blade stood ready. The dust of time covered its matte black paint. Toan walked up to the bike. He stroked the seat. DM, I really am empty-handed now. I'm no longer a tycoon, no more mansion or luxury car. I only have this clunker and my bare hands. Are you afraid of hardship? DM smiled a sunny smile that chased away all the gloom. She stepped forward, wrapping her arms around Toan's waist from behind, pressing her face against his back. I never loved you because you were a tycoon. I love Toan, the vegetable farmer. Toan, the concrete pourer Toan who loves his wife. Having this bike is good enough. As long as it runs, we can still go places. Let's go home, honey. The potato field is waiting. The chickens are waiting. Our house may be small, but it's ours. No one can sell what's ours. Toan smiled, the most relieved smile since he woke up. He put the key in the ignition, turned it, started the engine. Cough, cough, clack, clack. Vroom. The sound of the old motorbike engine roared to life, a bit noisy, a bit shaky, but still crisp. It was like Toan's intense vitality. Though beaten down though, having lost everything, he still stood up, resiliently. Toan buckled DM's helmet, then put on his own worn-out one. Toan said, "Hop on, wifey. Let's go home." The old airblade carried the two of them, slowly rolling out of the district police station gate, heading toward the rolling mountain ranges in the distance. Behind them lay a glamorous but painful past. Ahead lay a bumpy red dirt road, but one full of freedom and love. Toan realized he had lost all his assets, but he had profited a wonderful wife and a painful lesson about the value of life. Toan didn't take DM straight home to rest. He drove her straight to the cabbage field. Why, having just escaped death's door and lost everything, did Toan dive into work immediately? And what is the secret behind him, rushing back home alone to toil away with a pile of scrap wood, a kitchen table to surprise DM when she returns? The old motorbike struggled up the slope. Toan clearly felt the vibration in the handlebars. This bike was just like his life right now, old, dilapidated, but still having to strain to keep running. DM sat behind, hugging Toan's waist tight. She pressed her cheek against his broad back, whispering, "Toan, let's go home and rest. You just got out of the police station. Your health hasn't fully recovered yet." Toan shook his head, his determined voice drowning out the wind. "Can't do that, honey. We've neglected the fields for days. The cabbages are ready for harvest. If we don't cut them in time, they'll get old, they'll crack and sell for less. We have to eat. Now that we're empty-handed, every single cabbage is gold and silver DM." The bike stopped in front of a lush green cabbage field, stretching as far as the eye could see. The cabbages were wrapped tight, big as rice cookers basking in the sun. Toan kicked down the stand and helped DM off. He looked at his wife's small hands, his heart clenching. Those hands should be wearing diamond rings, getting spa treatments, not calloused from holding hoes and knives like this. "DM, you stay here and cut the cabbages, okay? Just cut them and stack them neatly in the baskets." I have to run home for a bit." DM was surprised. "Why are you going back? Why not stay here and help me?" Toan avoided his wife's gaze, stammering a bit before forcing a smile. I need to check the chicken coop. I'm worried I forgot to close the door yesterday and it'd be a disaster if a fox got in. Plus, I need to tidy up the yard. I'll be back in a bit to haul the cabbages home." DM believed him. She nodded, handing him her frayed conical hat. "Wear this so the sun doesn't get to you. Remember to drink water, don't overwork yourself." Toan took the hat, gave his wife a deep look, and turned the bike around. The engine roared again, fading into the distance. But Toan wasn't going back to check on chickens. He was going back because of an idea that had been brewing in his mind since he was at the police impound. He wanted to do something, no matter how small, to make it up to DM right now. Back home, Toan parked the bike in the corner of the yard. The small wattle and daub house with a cement roof was baking in the heat. This was the only place he had left. No lakeside villa, no luxury apartment. Toan walked inside and went straight to the kitchen. Calling it a kitchen was generous. It was just a makeshift corner of the lean-to. The stove consisted of 3 bricks stacked together, fueled by firewood. Every time she cooked, Diem had to squat on the ground, blinded by stinging smoke. Dishes and spices sat on a rotting wooden plank, balanced precariously on 2 bricks. Even the cutting board sat right on the damp earthen floor. Toan stood looking at that, kitchen tears threatening to spill. He remembered his mother's testimony. He's so rich if he loses a house he'll buy another. Yes, he used to be rich. Back then, his kitchen had imported Italian cabinets, marble countertops, German induction stoves. But back then, he never once cooked a proper meal for his woman. And now, dirt poor his heart ached, seeing his wife hunched over cooking in this miserable corner. Toan told himself, Diem has back pain. Every time she stands up after squatting for too long, her face goes pale. I can't let my wife suffer like this forever. I can't afford a gas stove or build a new kitchen yet, but at the very least, I have to build her a decent table to stand and cook at. No sooner said than done. Toan rolled up his sleeves. He scoured the garden. He found some old formwork planks left over from pouring the patio concrete. He pulled some sturdy peach wood from the firewood pile. He rummaged through an old tool chest and found a rusty handsaw, a hammer, and a handful of crooked nails. Swish, swish, swish. The sound of sawing wood echoed in the quiet summer noon. Toan was dripping with sweat. His shirt clung to his back. He wasn't a professional carpenter. He was a businessman. His hand was more used to holding a pen to sign contracts than holding a saw. But today his saw cuts were strangely straight and decisive. He measured carefully. This height is just right for Diem. She won't have to bend down. I need to plane this surface smooth so she doesn't get splinters. Toan carefully pulled every old nail from the recycled wood, straightening them out before using them. He didn't have money for new nails, so he had to save every bit. Bang, bang, bang. The hammer strikes rang out solid. With every blow, Toan seemed to be hammering in his determination. He wasn't just building a table, he was boarding up the past and building a foundation for the future. He built 4 sturdy legs. He reinforced it with crossbars underneath to make a shelf for pots and pans. He even meticulously used sandpaper to polish the tabletop, then used an old rag to wipe away the sawdust. After nearly 3 hours of toil, a makeshift kitchen table was finished. It wasn't pretty. The wood didn't match, some black, some white. But it was tall, clean, and incredibly sturdy. Toan moved the table into the corner of the kitchen, replacing the old bricks. He rearranged the bottles of fish sauce and salt on the shelf and hung the pots on hooks. He stepped back to admire his masterpiece. For the first time in his life, he felt prouder than when he closed a $1 million deal. Because this deal was named happiness. The sun began to dip west. Toan hurriedly washed his face, drank a gulp of water, and rode the motorbike out to the cabbage field to pick up Diem. When he arrived, Diem had finished filling 2 large baskets with cabbage. She was sitting under a tree, resting, fanning herself with her hat, her face red from the sun. Seeing Toan, she beamed. Are you done? I finished cutting everything. The harvest is good this year. Every head is solid. Toan looked at his wife, compassion swelling in his chest. He said nothing quietly, loading the 2 baskets of cabbage onto the bike and strapping them down carefully. Get on, honey. I have something to show you at home. It's a big surprise. Diem was curious. What surprise did you spend money on something again? Toan smiled mysteriously. You'll see when we get back. Didn't cost a single cent. Back home, Toan led DM by the hand straight to the kitchen. The moment DM stepped through the door, she froze. The usually dark, damp corner was now brightened by a new wooden table. Everything was arranged neatly and tidily. The cutting board sat on the high, clean surface. DM's jaw dropped, turning to look at Toan. Where did this come from? Did you buy it? Toan shook his head, rubbing his sawdust-covered hands. I built it myself. That's why I came back earlier. You have back pain and I don't want you squatting to cook anymore. From now on, you can stand comfortably. I made a shelf underneath for the pots so they don't get moldy. DM walked closer to the table. She gently stroked the wood surface that still smelled fresh. She saw the flattened nails saw the care in every edge. Tears naturally welled up in her eyes. She wasn't crying out of self-pity, but out of pure happiness. She used to dream of a modern kitchen, but right now this scrap wood table was worth more to her than any gilded cabinetry. She turned around, threw her arms around Toan, and sobbed onto his shoulder. Toan, why are you so good to me? You're tired, your head still hurts, yet you toiled away making this for me. Toan patted her back, his voice deep and warm. Silly girl, I'm your husband. I lost our house, our car. Right now, this table is the only thing I can give you. Please make do with it for now. Later, I promise I'll build you the most beautiful kitchen in this whole region. DM looked up into his eyes, smiling through her tears. I don't need the most beautiful kitchen. I just need this table. With you and this table, I feel like the richest person in the world. That evening, the small kitchen felt strangely cozy. DM stood chopping cabbage on the new table, the rhythmic clack-clack of the knife sounding cheerful. She no longer had to grimace from back pain. Toan sat tending the fire, the rosy glow illuminating the hopeful faces of the husband and wife. The humble dinner consisted only of boiled cabbage dipped in fish sauce with smashed egg and a bowl of thin soup. But they ate with gusto as if it were a gourmet feast. Toan picked a piece of crisp sweet cabbage and placed it in DM's bowl. Eat up, honey. Homegrown cabbage husband-made table. It tastes amazing. The couple looked at each other and smiled. A fierce belief shone in their eyes. They had lost all material possessions, but they possessed a massive spiritual fortune to start over. From these cabbages, from this old motorbike, and from this labor of love kitchen table, what will Toan do to flip the script of his life? My dear friends, happiness sometimes isn't found in mansions or luxury cars, but in the most sincere care given to each other during hard times. Today's scrap wood table is the very first brick Toan has laid to rebuild his life. But life isn't always rosy. Tomorrow, when they take the baskets of cabbage to the market, how will they face the brutal pressure of making ends meet? Will the old motorbike survive the steep mountain passes with a heavy load? And what business plan is Toan cooking up using these local crops? All will be revealed in the next episode, $1 Million Deals from Vegetable Baskets. Please like and subscribe to give Toan and DM some motivation. Goodbye and see you next time.